Let's go, everybody. Let's get this Marty party started.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmasto, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. Today, we are going to be talking about the incredible, absolutely remarkable year that Martin Pospisil has had, coming back from injury and only playing 20 AHL games to dominating at Worlds. And there's a whole lot to unpack when it comes to Martin Pospisil, and we're going to hopefully do a little bit of reputation repairing as well while we're here. So make sure you subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you're getting your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. So Martin Pospisil has had one heck of a start to his professional hockey career. 6 games into his career, he gets knocked unconscious, just knocked out cold by the late Colby Cave. I had completely forgotten that happened until I was researching for this episode, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And of course, Colby Cave ended up texting him, making sure he was okay, and forever a good guy. And then his 2020-2021 season ended due to a nasty knee-on-knee injury. And obviously, can't really play much hockey when that happens. So, you got to rest and recover. And he was gearing himself up with different fitness tests and training and ready to come back and make a difference. And then the season following, the 2022-23 season, he ends up only playing 20 games. He suffered severe concussions to the point where he could not be playing hockey. I believe he's had 5 concussions at the age of 25, which is concerning. And considering he just started his NHL career, that's even more of a red flag, I would say. He wears a tinted visor, and we're going to talk more about how he plays a little bit later on, because that's an issue as well. But he has talked on several occasions about how lonely his recovery was. He was alone in Calgary. He didn't have roommates. He didn't have, friends. His family wasn't here. And he really, was going through it. And he also thought that he was going to have to potentially retire. I cannot imagine being 23 years old, being drafted, a couple of years before, and trying to get, your feet under you. And you can't, because of injuries and head injuries. And that has to be so defeating. And clearly the side effects and the long-lasting symptoms were enough to have him debating on if this was the end. And that has to be so hard, because once again, these kids pretty much come out of the womb and they're on skates before they're talking. He is from Slovakia, and his older brother as well represented Slovakia at Worlds, and I believe won a bronze medal a couple years ago. So, hockey runs through this kid's blood, it runs through his veins. He is a hockey player through and through, but this season for him to break out the way that he did is just a Cinderella story, because he'd only played 20 games the year before. He was called up at the end of October, so not even a full month into the season, and he stuck around for 63 games. That's or for the rest of the season, but appeared in 63 games, I should say. So he clearly made enough of an impact to stay up and to hold his own and to, really finally get a chance to play a season of professional hockey. And no one saw him sniffing the NHL roster. Everyone figured, if someone's going to get called up this year, it's going to be Connor Zary and, Jacob Pelletier when he's healthy. No. To one of that. Obviously, Peltz struggled with his shoulder surgery recovery and ended up playing the remainder of the season in the AHL. But, Connor Zary and Martin Pospisil, I would argue, are the two, biggest underdogs on this team that really overachieved and exceeded those expectations. Because when you get to, when you crack the NHL roster and you're staying and you're playing consistent games with consistent minutes, clearly you're doing something right. And only having, I think, maybe 60 to 80 AHL games underneath your belt and you're a fourth round draft pick, and this is the impact you're making right out of the gate, that's incredible. That is something that no one really predicted. And the chemistry he had with Kadri and Zary it was a lot of fun to watch. And we're going to talk more about, his season later on, but for him to go from, I think I need to end my hockey career, to the year that he has had is phenomenal. And hopefully he's able to stay healthy and we can watch him play hockey for a very long time. I think everybody wants that. And we're going to talk about his appearance at Worlds and what he's done in the last few games and how this is obviously an extension of the regular season and hopefully what we'll see come camp and all that, the regular season again. But before we do that, we are going to take a quick break here, and I want to talk to you about FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. Assemble a decent parlay. If you're not emotionally invested in a team, let's look the Stars and Avalanche series. Jay Ottinger saves, maybe a Wyatt Johnston three plus shots on net, Nathan McKinnon goal, and then the money line. Put something fun together so you have something to root for. And visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're getting your podcasts, as we are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. Martin Pospisil is currently tearing it up at Worlds. He has 6 points in 2 games, and he has also acquired 6 penalty minutes. So, he's keeping it pretty even, not doing anything too crazy there. He's a menace. We're fully aware, but he's just having so much fun. And I think that that's commendable. he has clearly been able to build off of the momentum from the Flames regular season to playing at the international tournament, and it's fun. He brings an edge to the game that has you towing a fine line, but he makes it fun too, because we all talk about that fine line with physicality and pushing things over the edge. As we know, he was suspended for, I believe it was boarding Vince Dunn, but he also has had several other instances maybe where he has, kind of sucker punched Brad Marchand in the head. Don't know what that's all about. He's made some other questionable hits as well. So, you really have to watch that. But when he does throw decent, non-questionable hits, it's something that gets injected into the game, because it's, like I said, he wasn't expected to make the NHL. He probably didn't expect himself to be playing professional hockey this year. And it's been a journey for him. One thing that I really like about his game is that he has that net front presence. The goal that he scored in the second game of the tournament, he was just right where you needed him to be, at the front of the net. That is something that this team, a net front presence and a good shot, is what this team needs. I mean, along with other things, but offensively, you look and they don't have like a sharpshooter. They don't have someone that can, break the game open. You look back to Kachuk and Gaudreau and you think about the wraparounds, that they were so consistent with executing. Like, they were consistently executing those wraparound goals, or, building off the rebounds. And Martin Pospisil, based on what we've seen, he enjoys that net. He enjoys being the net front presence, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some players, they make their career off of it. And I think about, Danton Heinen, who was not signed by any team in free agency, and then was given a PTO, I think in November, December. And he is the same way. And he was the same way in all the other organizations he was in before. So I think that it's obviously a good skill to have. It's a different skill set than the Flames have had. And Nick and I have talked a lot about the redundant skill set that the Flames have. And that's why you can't really, expect Avalanche or Stars level hockey out of this group. And that's obviously a conversation that we can shelve for now and focus on the positive with Martin Pospisil. But there's a lot of hope here, I would say, because he saw consistent playing time. This truly should have been a developmental year for him, but for whatever reason, the Flames said no. He's ready. We need him. And that's great. It's great. When he was originally called up, most of the people that I talked to that are around the organization a lot more than me said, this is probably just a temporary thing. This feels like too big of a chance, too big of a risk. And it was still early in the season too. So the Flames weren't entirely out of it yet. And it's stuck. He's stuck. And I think that's, speaks a lot about his game and what consistent playing time does for him, and really any player. Obviously, you're going to see better numbers with players who have more time on ice and more chances and more opportunity, but this was truly a learning experience for him. He did not have a chance to establish himself in the AHL, to get that professional hockey foundation laid but he had enough of it to boost him to that point. And I think that that's really commendable. And, that's why they are paid the big money to scout these guys and make these decisions, because, what if that didn't happen? What if he didn't get called up? Or if he didn't stick around for the whole season? And, would the AHL have been a hindrance to him not playing against, those higher caliber players in the NHL, obviously? And would he have gotten suspended? Let's be honest there. What would the Flames have looked like had he not stuck around? And I just think it is very fun when you see someone make an unexpected jump like that and have just this great success, unexpected success. And him, Kadri, and Zary were fantastic together. They were a great line to watch and to play. I'd say play against, but I don't know how their opponents feel about that. But they went out on the ice and they did their job. I think that it was obviously great. It got Kadri going. Zary also played most of the year up here. So they were able to build something and find something and really get the ball rolling and get Kadri going, which a lot of people really wanted. And they got that. I'm very proud of Martin Pospisil in the sense of, not just rolling over and giving up. Because for anyone who has had concussions, they're not fun. They're not always the most delightful experience. Like the symptoms can linger around, and when your brain gets rattled a few times, the symptoms are just going to be worse and more intense, and they'll stick around for longer. I think it speaks to his level of resilience to want to continue to play and to want to just not give up. And I think if there's one thing that makes a flame, it is not wanting to give up. These players, they are like cockroaches. You cannot kill them in their playoff aspirations until the numbers do them in. And that's something. But coming up next, we are going to talk about the chemistry and the production of Kadri, Zary, and Pospisil, as well as, what might next season hold for our dear friend Martin. But before we do that, we are going to take a quick break, and I want to talk to you about Policygenius. Policygenius is the country's #1 leading insurance marketplace. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Life insurance is incredibly important. If you're a parent, you want your family to be taken care of. If something, God forbid, something happens, and you don't want to have to worry about that. It's, if you can get this kind of coverage and this kind of, have it all in one place and just a few clicks of a button, get what you need to take care of that, why wouldn't you do it? Policygenius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help walk you through it. Your work life insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. Even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job. Policygenius gives you unbiased advice from licensed expert support team. There's thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found that the best fit for their needs. Check life insurance off of your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quote and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. You can follow me on Twitter at JessBelmosto. With Martin Pospisil's success, I think we also kind of have to talk about the elephant in the room that comes along with Martin Pospisil, and that would obviously be the way he plays. We talked about it earlier, but he walks a very thin line. He plays on the edge, and he has crossed that line quite a few times in his rookie season. I say it all the time when we talk about him on here. I don't know why you wouldn't play with a little bit more care and caution when you can make your big hits. That's completely fine. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, don't hit people. No, you throw your hits, but like, think of the noggin. Think back to how it felt to be 22, 23 years old in your new home in Calgary, and you're debating on calling it quits because of the severity of the symptoms. And do you want to be that last concussion that causes someone's career to end? And you could say, well, it's inevitable, but it's also avoidable. And I think having Marc Savard as an assistant coach, I hope Marc Savard has sat him down and say, Matt Cook, you know what I don't remember after that hit? Anything. Walking out of that off the ice with my head in the towel. It's scary. It's the truth. If you listen to him talk about, like, recount and remember that hit, it's disgusting. You feel so bad. And hopefully, like a wake-up call like that would rein it in. One would hope and one would think. And he has made very questionable decisions. He earned a 3-game suspension. You can't argue with it because he probably should have been suspended twice. I don't necessarily agree with everything that player safety says and does, obviously. But we really got to start focusing on punitive negative repercussions for concussing someone or throwing dangerous hits and whatnot. But with Martin Pospisil, he ended up signing an in-season extension back in February for 2 years for $2 million, so $1 million a year. Low risk, high reward situation there. I think keeping him with Zary and Kadri is a good call for now. Obviously, things can and will change as time goes on, but it's a good start. And the Flames have so many different, like, moving facets and moving parts to their team, especially right now, that they have to play it safe. And Martin Pospisil is probably going to be part of this team for a while. Same with Zary. Those two and Coronado are 3. Obviously, Dustin Wolf as well. So 4 that I consider like real potentially long-term Flames. I could be very wrong because I thought Gaudreau was going to re-sign here as well. But the production between that line was unbelievable, phenomenal. You had Kadri, who didn't have like a bad first season in Calgary. Like, he wasn't going to have another point per game series. You're not playing in Colorado with the players and the talent of that level. So obviously that was the case, but a lot of people wanted more. People wanted more out of him. He scored 29 goals this season, had well over 50 points, and Connor Zary, same thing. Like, he absolutely more than likely finished in the top 5 of the Calder Trophy voting finalists. I mean, how could you not? He's pretty good up there with, you know, I mean, I might put him up there over Luke Hughes, but that's just me. The chemistry, though, it was special. We know this. They all talked about it and how great it was. And Pospisil ended up having 24 points in 63 games, averaging just under 13 minutes a night. There's still obviously room to grow. Like, that's not an argument. Like, I don't think he's hit his ceiling his first year in the NHL. I think that'd be a little ridiculous. But he had a great first season. He looks like that could potentially continue. I think he's going to be a good hockey player at the professional level. It's just a matter of him walking that fine line and continuing to just play good, clean hockey. And hopefully himself, you know, hopefully he just stays healthy, you know, and not just the head injury, but, you know, obviously everything else with the knees, arms, wrists, fingers, like everything you can think of. Like, we hear what these players need at the surgeries that they need after a season. And it's like, I didn't even know you could hurt that. I think about Chris Tanev in the 2022 playoffs, or the 2021-2022 playoffs, where he was pretty dinged up, and the rumors were like a fractured spine. He did not have a fractured spine. He had like a displaced disc or something, which not much better. But the severity of these things, Tanev and Mangiapane came back this season with matching shoulder surgery scars. Like, any sort of repeated trauma to your body is going to hurt. And this kid's young. I would like to keep that at a minimum forever. But let's get him off to a good start, and hopefully he succeeds. I want to see another great year for him. I want to see more responsibilities allotted to him as Huska sees fit. I would love to see, you know, if he can play on like Blake Coleman's line, see if, you know, they're able to get something going there. I don't know what the plan is for much else, but maybe, you know, maybe getting him going with Kuzmenko. I don't know. This is, again, opportunities for the Flames to do anything and everything they can to get things going and just get us through this chunky phase of hockey, this clunky, chunky phase, as fast as we can, but also have a good outcome. But that will do it for me on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow. Probably going to talk some more player reviews since we did take a little break from that. Got some draft profiles coming up along with some Tigaginla conversation. Because people are talking. People are talking. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your team every day. And I will see you all tomorrow. Stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay hydrated, and remember to be kind.